Hey everybody, it is hot in here. Can't turn on the fans or the air conditioner because that makes a big roar in the background and that's not fun. My name is Angela, middle initial K, last name Durden, and this is Punctuation is Power. Now, we're talking part 5 here, the business of writing. In the bygone years, back in the heyday of publishing, an author would write a book. He would send it off, big old box, to a publishing company or an agent and get them an agent that said, "Oh, this is fabulous. I know just who can buy it." And they would send it to a publisher. And then they would send it to one of the big 4, the big 5, or however many were bigs then. And then it would make it to the bestseller list. And then it would sell like crazy domestically. Oh my gosh. And the author would be on this show and that show. And then it would be translated into multiple languages and selling internationally to wild acclaim to be made into a movie or 2 or 3. Bring on the mailbox money, you're thinking, from your mouth to God's ears, right? Well, Firstly, the business was never exactly that way in the first place. Uh, there was a recent, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little longer, a documentary on Hemingway. And you know, The Old Man and the Sea, and I don't know what all else he wrote. He wrote a bunch of stuff. Uh, but this documentary showed that he had a pretty lavish lifestyle. And you wonder, well, man, he must have been making some money. Well, he was making some. Um, his lavish lifestyle, though, was not from his books. It was from having a series of wives with money who supported him, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So he made hay while the sun was shining, if you get my drift. But it also applies in business. The marketing of personality, which is why Hemingway, he used his marketing, the myth of him to get money for product endorsements. He made a lot of money with product endorsements, though it still wasn't enough to support his lavish lifestyle. Still, much hard work by many people went into the writing, editing, printing, marketing, distribution, tracking of inventory, and sales of most books. Starting in the late 1980s, though, the book business began to change. Tired of being shut out and stolen from, the age of the indie author and the indie publisher began and has not abated. Technology has made the publishing of a work easy. Distribution via print-on-demand methods has made it within the affordable reach of millions. Marketing of a book is a whole other subject. Okay? It is a bugaboo. Marketing. Marketing is a bugaboo. It's a thorn in our paws. It is a never-ending challenge. Unfortunately, too many authors, having written a work, just tire out. I mean, who could blame them? So they don't do the necessary boring work of thorough and multiple edits and rewrites. Not only that, they're also unwilling to pay somebody who knows what they're doing in these matters. So it doesn't get done. Also, many won't take any advice when it does come to punctuation, sentence structure, flow of the material, etc. They see any question about these things as an assault on their baby. I want to scream when I hear, well, I, or my spouse, significant other, best friend, or sibling have a degree in English and have already edited the book. Or, my wife edited my book. She has a degree in English. She'll get her feelings hurt if I let anybody else edit it. I would say somebody like that is whipped, but I won't. See how nice I am? Then these authors, they're not in business. They are in hobby. They're having a good time doing this, that, and the other. But they're not there to, they don't understand the business flow of it. Now, there's nothing wrong with having creative output that makes the creator happy and not being able to monetize it. There's nothing wrong with this. God made us to be creative beings, and we are. But that there's a business involved in some of this, if you want to support a family with it, if you want to pay bills with it, uh, that's a whole different thing altogether. It's a mindset. There are people who are great running a business because they understand that business. They know what's involved. They have employees. Each of them have assignments of what to do, and they think nothing about paying these people, paying these people to do a particular job because they know they can do it, and it's going to make them money in the long run because it's going to track their inventory. It's going to make sure customers aren't late in paying. It's going to keep the inventory from being walking away on the back of another employee's truck. You see what I'm saying? You got your salespeople out there banging the drum, saying ours is best, ours is good. Let us sell it to you. You know, um, there's nothing wrong with that. But let him write a book. Suddenly, it's something for him to do alone, and because he felt creative, he thinks he doesn't need any help making it better. You know, that's just too bad. So, the business of books requires taking off your creative hat and putting on a business hat. Uh, and even then, with a business hat, there's no guarantee that your book, which is a product, will see the light of day. It all business is a crapshoot. All business. That any of us make any money is sometimes amazing. Now, I have always had an allegiance to words, as you've probably heard in my the previous parts of this particular series, is that my blood is made of words. Words circulate through my DNA, through every cell that I have. So I can tell when words are being used in a weaselly way. There's advertising language that reeks of weasels. And since it's always been a moving target, I detest rigid rules of punctuation, which we've talked about in several other sections of this. These rigid rules of punctuation will kill you. They'll sink your boat. But now, as a writer, I have written in various categories. I've written in business, children, nonfiction, memoir, humor, fiction, and I've edited a lot of stuff through the years. And in all instances, my goal is to teach and or entertain, but always to challenge the reader and to tell the story well, whatever that story is. Whatever it is, tell it well so that somebody will be interested. As an editor, my goal is to make a book the best it can be. One that when a grandchild finds it on the shelf and reads grandma's or grandpa's book, they will be proud of how good that book is, you see, not embarrassed about it. So as a small publisher, which I'm an independent publisher, it is to bring to life high quality books that the big four will no longer touch. I'm not even going to get into that subject as to why they don't touch them. But again, it's a business decision, and some of their money flow is managed in ways that I totally disagree with. But I'm not getting into that now. So my publishing company, Blue Room Books, because My room is blue. I've published history, music business, memoir, memoir, fiction, and others, and some not so easily categorized. Uh, we may or may not make a profit on these, but damn it all, when they go into the world, they will be equal to or better than offerings from the big houses, who, by the way, are not paying much attention to the editing. Their layouts often, that's the flow of the internal part of the book, often are so boring with nothing. I mean, you can just look at the page and go, it's horrible. You don't even have to read the words. But I ask at the end of all of this, at the business section, punctuation is power. I ask again, just like I asked in part 4, why do you write? You know, I've got the comment stuff down below. You can tell me why, or you can email me, or you don't even have to tell me. But think about it. Why do you write? Is this a business, one that you are going to want your to pay your bills with? Well, then you might as well just stop right there. Money may come eventually, but if any writer gets money ahead of time, it's usually given to them against sales. So you don't get anything until that money has been worked off. And depending on what the contract says, they may ask for some of that money back. So if you get a bonus of any sort, what you think is a bonus, you better clarify in the contract that it does not have to be paid back no matter what. Otherwise, stick it in a separate account and don't touch it, because you may have to give some of it back. There is no such thing as a standard publishing contract. And if anybody says this is our standard publishing contract, then it only serves them, and it behooves you to get somebody to read this over very closely and tell you if this is going to be good for you. Well, this has been fun. 5-part series. Oh, I only need one hand. 5-part. 5-part, 5-part. I love words. I hate it when people, oh my gosh, people are so misusing them now. They're mispronouncing them. They're misspelling them. We're talking major publications. We're talking books by people who should have editors. Words misspelled all over the place. There's one author, his stuff has been made into a series. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't think he cares. Only because he's moving on. He's getting money from being producer of these things, and he's making money, and that's all good. But as a reader, uh, I stopped buying his books because he was in love with the word that. THAT. After the last book of his that I bought, which was about 8 years ago, said I'm not doing this anymore. I realized that while I liked the story, there was this nagging thing that just made me not enjoy it so much. And when I got to this other book, I'm reading it, I'm going, why am I not enjoying this? Same character, a continuation of a story that I was looking forward to. Oh, why? And that's when the word that just started jumping out of the page. And I looked back at these other books and I went, holy cow. He doesn't have an editor anymore. These major publishers, and even the mid-list publishers, they don't have the editors. What they're calling editors are not. Writers are having to pay their own editors. Punctuation, powerful words. Oh my goodness gracious me. Well, I think that is it for me too. Let's hope I don't cut this one off early. So goodbye.